E. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 E. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Let's get some tranquil vibes here. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Yes! Sub to Pewds. Right, so since you're here, Travis, I think I let you listen to the music I am. Can you hear it? Let me just turn it up. Alright, so since you can't hear it, I'm gonna have to turn it up to a deafy amount. Meditation music. You do realise I'm going to have to listen to that for an hour? Okay, it's kind of getting boring myself. Let me put some tasteful music on. Right, so Travis, how does this sound? Like, fuck, it's an advert. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shannon. Sounds good, that. Alright, so let's get back to meditation. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Sorry. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, fuck. Sorry, what's that? Oh, 2 people watching. Oh, a sec. Let me get back to meditating. Right. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I just lost a viewer. And that deeply hurts me. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 One sec. Just let me listen. If one person is still here, if you can please relate to me, I am going to be saying subscribe to PewDiePie straight for an hour, so feel some sympathy for me. I forgot to entertain myself as I do this. Not in that way, but you got to understand. It's painful. Also, Travis, is this you here? Or who else? I'll just subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Also, just saying, whoever's here, alert some people that I am doing this. Please, I am lonely. I am lonely because see, I'm lonely in every single way. Not only a view account, but you gotta understand, feel some sympathy. But yes, again, I am doing my part, so subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to the one and only PewDiePie. Subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe Oh, no, no viewers now. I see. I'm gonna continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, one viewer back. That's all I need for a dopamine boost. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe, and I've lost one viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, one view back. Why did I get excited by that? Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All two ones. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All three. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I really am wasting my time. But I don't really care. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I am doing my part. Thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, 6 viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe all 7 viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe back to 7 viewers. Yee. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Ooh, a war. You interest me. Don't worry, I will follow you. That's it. Alright, so subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, follow Siham Spicy Memes. Do it. Do it now. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 It's been 21 minutes of me doing this. I'm still gonna continue. Oh, thank you. This is my noble effort. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Sorry, my guinea pig just sneezed. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, there's these 3 viewers now. Half of what I had earlier. There we go. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Thank you. All back to 4 viewers. I am doing my part, no matter how much it brings me down. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to him. Well, why not? Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to him. Right now. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to him. Right now. Why do I keep saying subscribe to him? Right. Let me just mentally prepare myself. Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh. Oh God. Oh, I feel proud now. Oh, the 13th result. Proud right there. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Ooh. Well, you're lucky that you found this. This is a ritual I do daily. Not really daily. But I would say centuries of rituals. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All 2 likes. Namaste. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All 3 likes. Oh, another namaste. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 You're welcome. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Right, so I know this is breaking the rules a bit, but nothing like a good old talk. So if PewDiePie regularly does the casual check of his own name, and he sees this, well then that's gonna be worthwhile. But I'm going to say thank you to everybody who's still watching and watched. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 The 7th result. Oh god. Oh god. Right, let's keep this going. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Also, if you're wondering what I'm listening to, bitch lasagna. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, 2 viewers. Oh, don't worry. This is my effort, so I will continue for you, my noble viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Let's go. Okay, continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 And 30 minutes. So let me have a little break here. Right, just oh, another viewer actually. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe, never mind, 2 viewers. Alright, so let's have a look break here. It's now 30 minutes, and just saying, you don't have to do this, but you can. Although everybody you know on this may come watch this. And also, this is the best thing I'm going to do during the war. Let's just admit. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to only 1 viewer. All down to our last viewer. Don't worry, I'll still keep this going. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Actually, one thing. If you no viewers. Alright, so gonna say this, just keep it on in the background, just so it gets upvoted through the thingy-majigger algorithm. I'll see that every new viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe. Just what? Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Oh, one viewer. Namaste. Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 What?
What are you doing?
This. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie.
Are your
Subscribe to
phone is muddy?
Yes, they are, Mum.
Oh,
Subscribe to
great.
PewDiePie. Subscribe to 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 the PewDiePie. Subscribe
Shut
to
the
PewDiePie.
fuck up.
No, Mum. I've been doing this for 41 minutes. I'm not going to give up now.
Who are kids?
Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. I'll go to the car after this. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Normal. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie.
What are you doing?
Subscribe to PewDiePie. I'm doing my part, Mum. I'm doing my part.
You're part of what?
The Great War. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to
I mean, on
PewDiePie.
your phone, why are you filming yourself doing that?
Tasteless, Mum. Tasteless. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Yeah, Mum. Are you subscribed to PewDiePie? Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie.
I'm going to the
Subscribe to
shop.
PewDiePie. Well, yeah, you may be going to a shop, but are you subscribed to PewDiePie?
You're an idiot.
Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All 2 viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Is it alright I shut the door? Because I can hear T-Series screaming at me. I've got to stop T-Series from getting to me. There we go. Blocked T-Series. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Today I actually asked my teacher, is he subscribed to PewDiePie? He said he isn't. So I made him. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 You know, actually, instead of doing 1 hour, I think I'll bump it up to an hour and a half. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 This one majestic viewer, can you who, if you can, tell everybody to watch this live stream to alert them on this great war and to show them I am doing my part. If you can, please. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 All 2 viewers. Hello. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 And now it's down to 1 viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Sorry. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 You know, I may even do this tomorrow. This might be a daily thing for me. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 And 50 minutes. Been doing this for 50 minutes. Let's continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I don't think you'll mind if I go in the chat, do you? It's just a bit more comfortable. No, it's a bit too far. I will deal with the pains, even if it means breaking my legs. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 And I'm going to thank this one viewer just right now. I'm even surprised how you've lasted this long. In quite a long time. Well, I thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I'm surprised. For this long I've been meditating. I actually think I may become enlightened. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Right, so a bit of oh, 2 viewers now, man. Let's keep going. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Faster, my child. Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 This is like some weird tongue twister, but I've got to do my part. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Yeah? Good for you. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, 5 likes, thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. I'll be back with more. Thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. For all I care, a robber can come through this door and try to stab me, but I'll keep going. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. But if I keep going, you've got to call the ambulance and police. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, free viewers, thank you. Subscribe to viewers, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Told you I'll bring. Thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Right. I know this is kind of breaking rules here, but since you've all been such good viewers, I will play some bitch lasagna. Hopefully this is not copyrighted or some shit. I think it's PewDiePie. I don't think it would be copyrighted. Oh, it's always worth to check. Oh my god. Okay. More. I told you'd be more. Right, so let's just unplug my headset. And here we go.
I don't like your T-Series. Nothing personal, kid. But I must go all out. Just this once.
Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie,
whichever
subscribe to
will it
PewDiePie,
be.
subscribe to
Set the
PewDiePie,
fuck
subscribe to
down,
PewDiePie.
T-Series. I'm here to spill the real tea.
Subscribe to
You're
PewDiePie,
trying to
subscribe to
dethrone me
PewDiePie,
from
subscribe to
spot
PewDiePie,
number
subscribe to
one,
PewDiePie,
but you
subscribe to
India,
PewDiePie,
you
subscribe to
lose. So
PewDiePie,
best
subscribe
thing
to
you
PewDiePie,
haven't won.
subscribe to
When I'm
PewDiePie,
through
subscribe
with
to
you, we're
PewDiePie,
gonna
subscribe
be
to PewDiePie,
completely
subscribe to
fucking
PewDiePie,
done.
subscribe
Cause
to
we
PewDiePie,
only
subscribe to
just
PewDiePie,
begun.
subscribe
I
to PewDiePie,
review you,
subscribe to
zero
PewDiePie,
by
subscribe to
Scott.
PewDiePie,
So
subscribe
come
to
on,
PewDiePie, subscribe to
T-Series.
PewDiePie,
Looking
subscribe to
hungry for some
subscribe to
drama.
PewDiePie,
Here,
subscribe
let
to
me
PewDiePie,
serve you
subscribe
bitch
to PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe to
Bitch
PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe to
Bitch
PewDiePie,
lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing
subscribe
but
to PewDiePie,
bitch
subscribe to PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe
Bitch
to PewDiePie, subscribe to
lasagna.
PewDiePie,
Bitch
subscribe to PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe
Look at
to PewDiePie,
T-Series, they
subscribe
just crying for
to
the
PewDiePie,
mama.
subscribe to PewDiePie,
Bitch
subscribe to PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe to
Bitch
PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe to
T-Series
PewDiePie,
ain't nothing
subscribe
but
to PewDiePie,
bitch
subscribe to PewDiePie,
lasagna.
subscribe to
Bitch
PewDiePie,
lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series just put himself in a pajama. So who the hell is Bob and why you wanna kiss him? Ew, I'm a blue-eyed white dragon while you're just dark magician. You got a fist of the population, ain't your nation, but I got 90 rolls of world to hold your defecation. Ultra Butler, what the fuck is that even?
I think I killed most of my viewers with that. Unless you want some more. Ooh. 2 viewers. Right. There's one thing. I know this may be breaking rules, but also subscribe to Mimo. He's been here for some time now. And I think it's about time I notice longer term viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, it's been 1 hour. 1 hour of saying subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Bit of a story time here. So, dinner calls, I'll be back. Keep it going though. Keep still watching. That's not fun. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. My bad handwriting, and also the fact it's wrong way round, but it says subscribe to PewDiePie. Or subscribe to, sub to Pewdiepie, but you know what I mean. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 sub to PewDiePie, please, no, please, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, okay, let me continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I'll get a snack. Don't want a sec, let me get a snack. Also, love you PewDiePie. Love you Mimo. Be right back. Oh, already back. Right, so just give me 1 second. When to get a snack. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Oh, subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Hey, have I mentioned you should subscribe to PewDiePie right now? Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh my god! If PewDiePie was that one viewer that was watching when I was going to get a snack, I would be incredibly sad. Because the second I got back, he left. How I knew? But you see, I got back. Said one viewer, so I sat down and went back up to close the door and there were viewers. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Wait, does the title say I'm meditating? Do I have to meditate? I'm not sure. Awesome. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 It's been 1 hour and 11 minutes of subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Well, hello, one viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Or if it's Memo, a subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, my back. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh my god, if that was PewDiePie, all I said whilst we were doing it is, hey one viewer, subscribe to PewDiePie. If it's Memo, A, and my back hurts. If that was PewDiePie, then I'm gonna be incredibly sad. Anyway, continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Oh my, emotional moment here. Subscribe to Pewdiepie made a video called "Don't Subscribe to Pewdiepie." Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. It's like I've got to have a snack. Oh! Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. One viewer. I'm not eating because I'm hungry. Oh! Hello, one viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Also, if you're wondering why I wasn't saying subscribe to PewDiePie right then, going to admit I was finished off my snack. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Here's a rapper here, honest. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Shit. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 hello one viewer, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie on, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Hey. Oh. Oh, you don't know how long I was saying subscribe to PewDiePie. Well, I'm just glad you're back. I was getting worried though. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. That's the question. I said this once, but you are my true boy. I need you to recruit some soldiers here. Tell everybody you know. I wouldn't leave you. Yeah, I'm glad somebody wouldn't leave me. My mum's gone. She came in, and she's told me to stop. But now she's gone down to the co-op, and she's not came back. It's been 20 minutes, quite a long time. Oh, I would say subscribe to Mimo, but there's only the two of us here. I'm surprised I've kept up this act. It's been 1 hour and 30 minutes. Well, around that. Thank you. I really am doing my part. So I've now said this once, but I really do need your help. There used to be a lot of people watching, and now they've just gone. Is it alright you recruit some people? I've been here quite a while. So just if you can please tell some people to watch this live stream. Thank you. Subscribe to PewDiePie. I'll be back hopefully with some more. With some more. Come on. Thank you so much. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Just need to plug in my phone to charge whilst I'm doing this. It's been so long that it's running out of battery. Oh yeah. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I wonder how many times I've actually said subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. If there's someone dedicated out there, count how many times I've said subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Doing my part here. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Hello. Oh no, my icon. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I'm trying. It's hard work. I tried to get my mum to subscribe to PewDiePie as well. She didn't. I tried to watch this. She didn't. She wasn't dedicated enough to watch her own son say subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 I'm surprised you're still watching. A long time viewer. Like, I'm pretty sure next time I do one of these, it's going to be to you. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 And no. Oh, thank you. Dedicating. Oh, you are truly blessed. Truly blessed. Your soul. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Wait, just a question. Do you remember that time when I played B lasagna or bitch lasagna, and I killed pretty much half of my viewer base? Top 10 anime deaths. I was so I couldn't read your comment, but something deadly just happened. Something bad. YouTube Rewind came up in my up next, and it played YouTube Rewind. And I'm actually scared for my life. I'm scared. We all know YouTube Rewind didn't have PewDiePie going like this. Year review. So we just can't watch it. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. No, this is hell. I know. I nearly cried. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh, a sec. I'll be 1 sec. Just a minute. Alright, I'm back. Oh, 2 viewers. This is my cat, Consent Smith. Right, back to the norm. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Hi, cat. Little bitch. He ran out. I could get it. Oh. Oh. Only. Hey, I'm not abusing him. He's back in his own room. It's not like I did anything. And I have this. That's pretty much the other thing I know. Only got him 2 days ago. I'm proud. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Alright. It's alright. You don't have to be sorry. Just spread the message of what I'm doing, because by the time you've got back I'm probably still doing this. I mean it. I really do. And also tell them to subscribe to PewDiePie as well. So tell them. I'll tell people on the bus. Alright, tell them to watch this and to subscribe to PewDiePie. Alright, thank you. Mimo. You know what, I'm gonna subscribe to Pew. Not only that. Subscribe to PewDiePie, but also subscribe to Mimo. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. You're welcome. Bye. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to the one and only PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Just got a TikTok notification. evil beasts. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Hey, why not subscribe to PewDiePie? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 why not? Just do it now. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Don't forget, I promised 1 hour. This is 1 hour and 51 minutes. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay, back to subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Hello, that's one viewer. Subscribe to PewDiePie. No, oh god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Welcome to the weird side of the internet. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. A Tartone moment. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Guess what? You should subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Welcome to the weird corner of the internet. I've been doing this for a straight 2 hours. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, fuck, my microphone went away. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. My pain is never ending. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 someone let me die. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. If PewDiePie is watching this somehow, I will piss myself. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 2 people watching. That's a accomplishment already. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, thanks for coming back. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Periodically. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I reckon by the end of this, I'm going to be the best at saying tongue twisters. Just know it. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Weekend home. Oh god. 2 hours been doing this straight for. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I don't know. I just I am listening to a video. I can do it for 10 minutes. God, I don't even know. I am listening to a video, but I'm not even watching at this point. I'm just listening. It's not even entertaining. I just do this and hope my sanity stays intact. Like I've been holding in a piss for 30 minutes now. It hurts incredibly. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. I look at that. Oh god, I'm still gonna be here, trust me. See ya. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Oh shit. I've been saying subscribe to PewDiePie for 2 hours straight now. Look.
You know I'm saying it straight now after because you just stopped, you little pussy bitch.
Well, yeah, you just ruined my rhythm. Subscribe to
No.
PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe
No,
to
Sam,
PewDiePie.
shut the fuck up. I turned the Wi-Fi off and you carry on.
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
No, I don't care.
Please, no, Dylan.
No, Sam.
Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie,
Listen,
subscribe to
Sam,
PewDiePie.
I don't care where you shout this. It's a good cause. I don't want you to care where you shout it. It's a good cause.
I know.
But it's on my bed.
Shall I move?
It's on the fucking bed, of course. You don't fucking... Who's watching like fucking 2 people? Like, oh.
Well, I'm not watching 2 people. I'm recording myself with one. And,
One person's watching. Is that your mum?
Don't stop it. See? Dedicated fan base here.
I'm not dedicated. I just want to see you suffer.
Ah.
He's a furry, you know.
I'm not a fucking furry.
Get off my bed before I get back.
Okay. Alright, so due to my brother, I'm having to move location. Doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. My mum's tried to stop me. And my brother, he didn't try to stop me, to be honest. He said it was a good cause. Dark ass room this. You're looking to the sun though. Ooh. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. No, my cat's a dickhead. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Ooh. Ooh. But when I'm sleeping, I'm gonna be talking about subscribe to PewDiePie. Ooh, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I'm in this room, might as well keep saying subscribe to PewDiePie. Like I can play games now while saying subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Guess what? Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to bloody PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. The hiccups. Got the hiccups. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Barney, can you stop knocking down this? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I'll be right back. To nobody's that's here. Still no subscribe to PewDiePie. Back to say subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie,
I didn't give myself enough.
subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie,
No,
subscribe to
I'm
PewDiePie,
deleting it.
subscribe
I'm
to
deleting it.
PewDiePie,
It's shaved. Oh, it's so
subscribe to PewDiePie,
terrible.
subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 why not subscribe to PewDiePie? What's wrong with PewDiePie? What did he do wrong? Yeah, that's what I thought. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Why not subscribe to PewDiePie? Do you want to subscribe to PewDiePie? I know you want to subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie,
Yeah, stop.
subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie.
Get back in that room, clean it up.
No.
Yeah.
Dylan, I'm saying subscribe to PewDiePie.
Use the Mr. Beast copycat.
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
Sam, clear the room before I fucking check that window.
Find them. You. Brr. That's what I thought, Barney. Attacking. I still am saying subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. No, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Why not subscribe to PewDiePie? What's wrong with subscribing to PewDiePie? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 ooh, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god, what's my cat doing? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, Barney, why don't you subscribe to PewDiePie? Oh, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Where'd all my viewers go? I had loads. And it was when... I swear, if someone's copied my idea and they've all refuged over there, I'm going to be so mental. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Actually, no. I don't care if they copied my idea. Because they're serving in the war like I have. But please, still don't. Like, this is kind of my thing. If somebody has copied me, at this point, I don't care. But if you're hearing this, then please don't. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie. And yeah, it's around 2 hours and 30 minutes. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to that PewDiePie. Subscribe to 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 get. Subscribe to PewDiePie right now, please. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Do you know how aching this is? There's no viewers. Just none at all. And I'm still saying subscribe to PewDiePie. It just hurts. But I'm doing my part. Not every war is the best war. But this is a war we will win. And now that means I have sacrificed. If that means I sacrificed 2 hours and 30 minutes of my life to saying subscribe to PewDiePie, then I'm going to say it. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Alright, sorry. I'm sorry, Mimo, but I'm gonna have to stop. This is my end. I have done proud in the war.